Hey guys, it's Marissa. So in today's video obviously is a little bit different. I've never really done anything like this before, but because of everything going on with like the COVID-19 and everything, with everyone being quarantined, I kind of got bored and wanted to do something a little bit different. I've seen on like multiple posts that people have done where they have like created different kind of looks involving like clouds, so that's what I wanted to do today. The main look that I've seen that I was inspired by will be posted right here. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I'm gonna put her post right here and her link in the description where you can find that photo. I know there's like a ton of people that never get like the right credit that they do whenever they recreate someone else's look, and they never give them credit for it, so I don't want to be like that. I don't know who really started that trend with the cloud makeup or anything, but that's the post that I saw that inspired me. So yeah, like how I said before, like this is my very first time doing anything like this, and I know I don't have like the right things to use for it, so it is a little bit kind of sloppy. Like it's not bad, but it's also not the best. I'm only using like a liquid foundation that's like in the shade white and nothing else. Like I'm not using like a white eyeliner or anything, so hopefully in the future I'll be able to get more things like after all of this quarantine is over. So but until then, this is what I could come up with using the things that I do have right now. And yeah, it still came out really good, and this was honestly a lot of fun to do. I haven't worn like false lashes in so long, or even played with makeup really in so long. So yeah, if you're interested in how I did this look, then just keep on watching. So the first step that we're going to focus on doing is the eyes. So I'm going to be using the LA Girl Pro Concealer in the shade Fairest. And I'm just going to be applying that to my eyelids as a base. I'm just going to be blending everything out using my finger. So for this look, we're mainly going to be using the Jeffree Star Bloodlust palette, and I'm going to be dipping into the shade Vivid Mood. I'm going to mainly just focus on packing that color to the outer corners of my eye using a Morphe M330 brush. You can add a little bit of the color to the inner corner of your eye also, but we're mainly going to be just covering that up using a different concealer to make it look more like a cloud. So just for now, just to really try to focus onto the outer corners of the eye and just pack on as much color as possible. And then to really deepen the outer corners of my eye, I'm going to be dipping into the shade Blood Queen, and I'm just going to be using that same Morphe M330 brush and just packing that in. So now we're going to be focusing on the cloud shape, so I'm going to be taking a Revolution Cut Crease Canvas, which is a full coverage eyeshadow base in the shade Halo. I'm just going to be adding that using a Morphe brush. I was using the Morphe M167 brush, but then I just switched over to the e.l.f. Precision brush. That way it was just a little bit more easier to just add in like the details to the fluffs of the cloud. So it's just your preference, but I like to use a smaller brush for things like this, and it just worked a lot more easier for me. And then I did set all of that with the shade Your Majesty from the same Bloodlust palette. And what I did is I just went back and forth with that shade and also just the concealer itself, just so I wouldn't lose that pigment of the white. And so that's what I just did. I went back and forth using that same Precision brush by e.l.f. And then I just repeated those same steps to the other eye. After I was done setting both eyes, I took the shade Wet Jewel from the palette and I just applied it with mainly my finger. And then I did take the e.l.f. Precision brush and I also patted that same shade on to like where the puffs of the cloud were. going to create a subtle buffed out wing, so I did take the shade Blood Queen again with that precision brush, and I just kind of made an outline to where I would be adding in a little bit of the black on both eyes, and then afterwards I would be taking an e.l.f. concealer brush, and I'm just adding in the shade Executioner, and then I'm just trying to buff that out as much as possible. I'm not taking too much of that shade, but I'm just trying to create it to where there's just enough where I can just create a really buffed out subtle wing. After I have those two colors placed, I realized I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more dramatic, so I just blended the colors even more, and I just raised like the wing a little bit, and I just tried to connect the colors to that previous purple that I added on. And then afterwards, I did go back in with that concealer again just to kind of brighten that up, because this isn't my favorite concealer to use. It does crease a lot no matter what, so I kind of have to reapply it as I go through this eye look, which is a little bit annoying, but it did come out really good at the end, which is fine. But then afterwards, I'm going to be going in with the Violet Voss lashes, and I'll link them down below, but I'm going to be using the Duo Lash Glue. And what I've been doing to keep them on a little bit better, just so it can easily connect, is add glue to the actual lashes themselves, and also just to my eyeliner as well. So that's what I'm doing for that. And then to prime my face, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Putty Primer, and then for concealer, I'll be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair Neutral. And I'm just going to be blending everything in using the Real Techniques Beauty Complexion Sponge. And then to set my full face, I'm going to be using the Airspun Loose Face Powder, and I'm just going to be setting that everywhere I applied the concealer. And then for my brows, I'm going to be filling them in using the Mally Evercolor Brow Tint in the shade Sable. I'm going to be filling that in using an e.l.f. angled brush, and I'm just going to be shaping my brows as much as possible and filling them in. As always, to bronze and contour my face, I'm going to be using the Butter Bronzer in the shade 6676. I'm just going to be applying that using an Ulta blush brush. And then we're going to be skipping the blush step since we are going to be using a ton of eyeshadow on my face for the clouds and stuff. So I'm just going to be blending all the bronzer in using that Real Techniques Beauty Complexion Sponge again. So then I'm going to be taking the shades Vivid Mood and Blood Queen again, and I'm just going to be mixing those two together and just applying it with the Morphe M330 brush. I'm first going to be applying it to the apples of my cheeks, and then I realized I wanted to add a little bit more color to this look, so I'm also going to be applying it to the sides of my face, including my temples and also above my forehead. And to make it look less patchy, this is when I decided to set my face and then just blend it out using a different sponge that I have lying around, and it's completely clean, and I know that I'm never going to be able to get this color out, so I just wanted to use a brand new sponge for this. I am going to be using one other shade from a different palette, which is the James Charles Artistry palette by Morphe. I'm going to be dipping into the shade Escape with that same sponge. I'm just going to be contouring around my face, including my cheekbones and my nose. And I did overly contour my nose a little bit. I think I started to look like Violet from Willy Wonka, to be honest, but I think afterwards when I started to add the clouds, it really just made the look really come together, and it looked a lot better afterwards. Then I decided to add some highlight, so I just went back in with the Bloodlust palette and used the shade Take the Crown for my nose. I also highlighted my inner corner and also my brow bone. This is when I went back in with that Revolution concealer, and I think it works best on your face, not so much on your eyelids. I think it creases better when it's on your eyes, which isn't as good, but it really started to really come together. I think it was really easy to blend out on my face rather than my eyes, like how I said, and I just went back in using that e.l.f. precision brush, and I just tried to buff it out and just try to create it as much of a soft look as possible. And then I did repeat those steps throughout my entire face. I did go back in with a few of those clouds just to create more white to it, just so that that way it was just a little bit more of a dramatic effect and they just popped out better. So this was when I messed up and I literally was trying to make stars from just that precision brush, and the brush was literally not small enough to make stars, and I ended up hating it after I added all the dots. And so what I did is just added that dot anyway and just went along with it, but then afterwards I just took the remainder of that white and I just tried to create faded out clouds that you could kind of see, but they weren't super invisible like compared to the other ones, so it still came out pretty okay, but I think it kind of ruined the look a little bit, to be honest, but I still tried to make it work and just blend it out as much as possible. But if you're going to do stars, I would recommend using an actual white liquid liner before, because it could get really messy, to be honest. We're then going to move on to my lower lash line. I'm just going to be applying the shade Vivid Mood to it and nothing else, just because of how dramatic this look really is. Because you can never add too much highlighter, I'm going to be taking the shades Beauty Sleep and Take the Crown, and I'm just going to be applying that using my finger and also an e.l.f. blending brush. And then for the most visible clouds that you can see, I'm going to be using that e.l.f. precision brush again and just applying the shade Wet Jewel, just so you can really see the contrast between the white and the really pink shimmery shade. I'm also going to be using that shade Wet Jewel for my Cupid's bow, just to highlight that area and also my chin. I'm going to be using the ColourPop Ultra Glitter Lip in the shade Here's to You, and I'm just going to be applying that as the lip gloss. And then for my lower lash line, I'm going to be using the Clinique mascara. And this mascara is the High Impact Mascara, which is one of my personal favorites, in the shade Black. And then whatever mascara I accidentally got onto my lower lash line, I'm just reblending that out using that Vivid Mood shade again, and that is the completed look. So I really did have a lot of fun recreating this look and just trying to add my own little vibe to it. I know during this time, like, we're all really bored and out of our minds, so if you really just want to try something new and just want to play around with makeup, I would highly recommend it. And if you want to recreate a certain look with this, then I'll add my social medias below. But I really hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later on next week. Bye!